Good afternoon, everyone. This is Karen Main, and today we are looking at Chapter 8, Less Than Great Expectations. So this chapter addresses a few areas and a few ministries within church that either really make or break a liturgical service. It can interrupt the flow or it can make the flow of Mass very good. So one of the most probably important features that he talks about first in this chapter is the sound system. Can people hear properly? And we still struggle, even with our own building, with a few, if you want to call them dead zones within the church. We did ratify our sound system several years ago with our recent remodel of the sanctuary. New speakers of better quality were put in. A couple of additional speakers were put in, which has really helped the sound system within our church. But there still at times are a few places that it can be a little more difficult to hear. And sometimes it depends on the presider's voice quality, whether it's a stronger voice or a softer voice as well. So it's a biggie. If you go to any type of event, you want the sound quality for your guests to be good. So think about our sound quality within our church. They also talk about within the liturgy places that we should take more silent time. At the very beginning of Mass, right after we sing our gathering song, and then we have a quiet time that we're supposed to collect our thoughts and put that at the cross, the penitential rite. Father a lot of times will say, let us pray. And instead of just giving us that moment and us taking that moment as an opportunity to do that, we sort of blow it. And we kind of move right through that into the next thing without really allowing ourselves that time to pause. There are several places within the service that he brings out that we maybe don't think about on a regular basis, but that should have time for pause and reflection. The penitential rite. After the proclamation of the first and the second reading, there should be a short designated time that we focus ourselves on what was just proclaimed to us. After the homily, right away we kind of shut down and we're kind of ready to move on to the next thing. This is another time that is very important that we reflect on the message that was just given to us. Moving forward, we now start to talk about some of the ministers that actually make or break, or could have the potential to make or break the liturgy. He talks a little bit about the lectors. And I just want to make sure that you understand that they don't just read the words. We ask them to proclaim the words of what they are reading. They are proclaimers of that. And they are trained. They should have clarity. They should have meaning. And they should speak with intelligence. And this is important because I think we've all experienced lectors of different quality levels, and we know when a reading has been really well proclaimed, it just comes alive. So I think we do a fairly good job with this within our parish community. We have a very dedicated base of lectors in our community, but it gives you a chance to reflect on that. Just also want to make a note that our lectors do receive a workbook. Each of our lectors has this workbook, and the workbook does contain all of the readings for a given liturgical year. And they are supposed to be preparing their readings ahead of time, and this book also gives them commentaries, guidelines, and techniques in the delivery of the readings. So perhaps the next time you come to Mass, you can tune in a little bit to that and see, in your opinion, how the lector is doing. In addition, they should also be making eye contact with the congregation, which is very important as well. The next section they talk about is music, is another big one. As far as music goes, we know that there's an admiration for the cantors and choirs who give their time and talent to the praise of God. But we at our parish really, are aware, and we continually struggle with the factor that we want to provide really strong, positive, uplifting music, but we want it to enhance. We have to be careful that we don't become an entertainment factor. And we have some very awesome soloists that can provide really wonderful music for us, and I know that we do appreciate that, but we also want to make sure that it's for the glory of God and it's not to feed ego or to receive any kind of recognition from that other than the glory of God, to God. We in our parish have started a kind of a bad habit, and we never really knew what to do with it other than we just, I guess, have not addressed it. But many times at the conclusion of Mass, the congregation applauds the musicians. And it kind of started many, many years ago. I kind of know the history of that, and we do appreciate that people appreciate the musicians, but it would be wonderful for us if we could break that habit. It really, sometimes the applause almost gives us more of an entertainment factor than an enhancement factor. So we do experience this in our parish, and I did understand this comment that he made because it is very alive in our parish. So the three things that we really want to take a look at in this, as far as what he was trying to cover, is there are some great expectations, and we know when we've gone to good liturgies and we appreciate the liturgy and we walk away from that going, wow, this was a really good experience. And we've also experienced liturgies where things did not go well, and if things are not prepared well, it seems like it disturbs the flow, and we have to be careful that we keep the Mass as it was intended, and we understand the reverence and the holiness of that. So this week, as you think through this, here are a couple of questions for you. How do you rate the sound system in our parish? How generally is the quality of the lectors in our parish? How do you rate the music in your parish? And do the people sing? The music can be wonderful, but if it doesn't promote the congregation to sing along with the majority of the music, then I would have to say we would be looking more at an entertainment factor. The people singing at music have a very important part. They are part of the congregation, and the congregation has a duty to respond either through spoken response or through sung response. So I take that part very, very seriously. That does our music enhance our congregation enough to allow the people to sing? And finally, how could we make our parish more welcoming to others, which is an ongoing question through this book as we look at the welcoming factor. So those are the great expectations that we come to Mass with. Until next time, thank you. Bye now.